Hello, everyone. Welcome to another dynamic episode of the Quintessence of Leadership. And today I have a very special guest, and she's special. I'll share with you why she's so special. Um, the things that we do in life, our business endeavors, our personal endeavors, just everything, there is this space of convergence that happens, that everything just comes together. So, LaDonna Kearney, like this woman is a powerhouse. And I can say that with full authority because I've known her for quite some time. So, yes, I know her in the capacity I serve now. But here's the treat. LaDonna knew me in my other lifetime when I was the co-founder of a previous biopharma company. And so it's really exciting because she was a part of the team with my exit. She was a part of the financial team. And so, this is how life just kind of comes back together full circle. You have conversations, you meet amazing people. And although you may not be dialoguing every day or even every month, there are some people that you just are like, I'm going to reach out to that person. We're going to be in each other's lives. And this is how it has just come. Like she and I we've built a friendship. We know about each other's families, children. We check in every now and then. We're going to do a little better, LaDonna. But we definitely, there is a level of respect as people as well as business owners. So she is the founder of PeepTek. Don't you just love that name? It's like peekaboo, I see you. And they are an HR and payroll solutions company. And it was through LaDonna that I learned so many ways that you can bring HR support, you can bring payroll support into your company, that it still behooves you and benefits your bottom line. So, with that, I am going to ask LaDonna to just share a little bit about herself with us, whatever she wants to share. LaDonna, it doesn't have to be professional in nature. It doesn't have to be all about your bio. It could be something that you're excited about with your children or your grandchildren or anything. So definitely just share with us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I would say that the last 7 years since I founded PeepTek, we hit our seventh year this year. Um,
Congratulations.
right, so we've met that milestone. Um, it's been interesting because I've learned how to become more, I want to say, humble. Right, I've learned how
Mm,
to. One of the things that I've had to learn over this last year is how to quiet my own ego.
mm.
Um, and so it's been an interesting journey, for
Yeah.
sure. Not an easy one. It's definitely been, an uphill climb, I would say, right? Because,
Yes.
whenever you start your own business, it's very personal, right? Because
Yes.
now it's, everything's at risk. Your own
Yeah.
savings, everything,
Yes.
everything you have to kind of bring your all to it, in order to go forward with it. But I had this vision that our team could bring a level of service to clients that they
Mm.
can't get anywhere else.
Yes. Yes. Yes,
And
indeed.
so,
Ooh, I love that. I want to just really quickly, I want to talk about just for a moment what you said. Um, I want to first thank you for bringing that level of conversation to the table, quieting your own ego, a space of humbleness or a space of humility, I will say, that has happened for
mhm,
yourself that you have just said. And I'm looking forward to diving into that a little more. But you're right, when we are business owners and we're founders, sometimes we believe, and I'm not speaking for you, let me say, I believed that
mhm,
this is how it needs to be done. This is the best way. And in
mhm,
this journey of leadership, quite honestly, we learn that sometimes we have to sit down somewhere
mhm,
and allow
mhm.
others to truly demonstrate what it could look like. What did that look like for you? What did that look like? When was it? What was it, if you don't mind sharing, that turned the corner for you and you said, ooh, I need to maybe just do a little more listening, or I need to pull myself back a little. What was that?
I would say it happened probably a few years ago when I was on a conference call with a client, and their entire payroll team was on the call, right?
Okay.
And none of us agreed on the solution, but I knew I was right, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up on a very, very long call. I won't name how long it was.
Long.
It was many hours. It was the majority of the day. And everyone had an opinion about how things could be, right? Um, and so at that time, I had a very, very close advisor who said to me, I was complaining about this phone call later on. I'm like, why was I on this call for so long? It was a waste of my time. And I realized during that conversation, the person said, so you had to be right. And I had to
Oh,
think about that, right? And so, well, and I knew I was right because, of course, I study this information. I know what I'm doing, right?
yes, I
And
understand.
so, and so I'm like, well, I was right, so I always prepare to be right in those conversations,
Mm,
but sometimes you just kind of have to sit back and listen and let go, for sure.
mm. I love that. Thank you for your transparency there. And sometimes it's not always about being right. Sometimes it's about the other R, the relationship, right? And
Right,
so
right.
it's do we put our rightness or are we putting the relationship first? And
Hmm.
so as that awareness settled on you, LaDonna,
Hmm.
how did you shift moving forward? Even you can even let talk about that relationship or what did it shift in you? How did it shift how you began to show up in conferences or conversations even after that?
And I still struggle with it today,
Okay.
because I have a strong personality.
Yes.
And so oftentimes I just have to remind myself to listen,
Mm,
right? Pay attention to
mm,
what's being said, try to
mhm.
hear everybody. Because,
Yeah,
sometimes the loudest voices in the room mute everybody else, right? And you're like, well, how come you didn't say anything? Well, because
yeah.
the voices were too loud, right?
Yes, yeah.
Um, and so there's creating that safe space, right? For people to be able to speak, to speak about things.
Yeah.
And and I probably struggle through that daily, right? It's like,
Mm,
oh, here's what we should do, because I'm one of those people who will, when we're in a project and I know what needs to be done, I'll identify what needs to be done and charge right in, right?
yes, yes, yes. Yes, you
Um,
do.
right. And so it's a matter of being able to kind of sit back and go, okay, does it matter, right? Does what I need to accomplish or think that is what I think is best, is that really what's best, or is that something that needs to be accomplished? Um, or can I sit back and listen to other voices in the
Mm,
room and compromise, right? And
yes,
get to a happy medium. So every interaction is a negotiation, if you will.
yes, yes. And I really want to bring to the forefront. I want people to hear what LaDonna said. She still manages that daily, right? It doesn't mean that there are certain things about each of us that are innately a part of us. And
Hmm.
and so we also have to be honest with ourselves. We want transparency in other arenas from others, but sometimes we are not really transparent and honest with ourselves. And we think oh, I've got that mastered. Oh, I've got this here. But LaDonna
Hmm.
is sharing that that's something daily that even in other meetings she goes into and things that, yes, she understands. She has a strong personality. She has a strong sense of her North Star, what needs to be done. She's very project oriented, but she also understands that is this really necessary in this moment? Is me being right really the necessary conversation right here? So what I'm
Hmm.
hearing, LaDonna, is that you really are are listening in each moment, more, and you're no longer just listening to respond. You're listening to understand, you're listening to build, you're listening to grow, and you're listening to support that person on the other end of the camera or the phone.
Mhm.
How do you bring that even into your own team as you manage a team, as you manage, right? Because there's still things as a business owner, as a CEO, that we know that there's a direction we want our organization to go into, or how we want our company to grow. But we also don't, as you said, don't want to mute the voices of others in the room, because their insights, you
Right.
could say, huh, that's great. How do you bring that level of transparency, trust, leadership into your own organization?
Well, we live by our core values, transparency being one of them, right?
Mhm.
So that's one of our, we have, I think, that's one of our core values, right?
Okay.
Transparency and, and honesty. So it's
Mm,
really important though, right?
yeah.
So if you think about what transparency and honesty brings, right? When you actually are like, okay, well, I hear you, but here's what's going to happen, or you explain the impact of their decision, right? But it
Yes.
gives people the right to choose, right, how to respond with all the facts on hand, right?
Mm,
So even if
mm,
the facts are not popular, you want to at least let people know where they're at, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then internally with our team, we like to, create the space for people to be transparent and honest, right?
Mm.
Because then internally it helps us kind of move as a team because we're a relatively lean team
Right.
and it's kind of everything. And regardless, it always gets back, right? So it's more important to just say, hey, raise my hand. Here's where I'm at. I need help. How do we
Mm.
get out of it, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So what I'm hearing is you create a safe space, even not just for your clients, but within even your own organization, your own team dynamic. So somebody feels safe enough that they
Mhm.
they don't feel that if I raise my hand, ooh, I don't understand. Can you explain that a little bit more deeply? Can you help me? That
Mhm.
there is what you create is a space of no judgment. There's no judgment
Right.
for the request, right? Of needing a little
Mhm.
more help, needing a little more explanation. And I think that is so necessary, LaDonna, in today's world, right? Because none of us have it all figured out. Some of us would like to think we do. I know I do sometimes
Right.
want to think I do, but
Right. Right.
right. But it's really beautiful to have a space where that if you bring your voice forward, that it
Mhm.
will be met with a helping hand versus a judging hand.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Can you I would love for you, because I like to bring examples. Can you share with me an example of before, like when you were saying, when as you've learned to navigate, I need to check my ego a little bit. Maybe something specific you would do before and how you handle it differently now. I think sometimes when we share true examples in real life, it allows people to embody, and see themselves in that conversation.
Well, I know that it's improved. I get feedback from my team. I do
Mm.
have one of my children works in my business, and so
Ooh,
she
what a dynamic.
right. Well, she has to deal with, I hold her to a higher standard than the rest of the team, right?
Mhm, mhm. Still challenging.
Um, right. Of course, there's that whole thing of, okay, well, she's related, so she must have it easier, right? But I oftentimes judge her much harshly, right? And I've had to
Yeah.
step back and learn how to interact with her so I don't ruin our outside
Mm.
relationship,
Wow.
right? And
Yes.
so recently I've received feedback like, oh, I noticed that you're much more patient now.
Wow. That's excellent
Like,
feedback.
right, than you used to be, right? Like,
Yeah.
because we're moving quickly, we have lots of things to get done. I need
Yeah.
to be able to hold people accountable, but
Yes.
especially your family members if they're working in your business, also
Yes.
need to be just as accountable as everybody else. Because of course it's not a charity. You need to really be able to. um, help your business grow. And you can't
Yes.
grow if you're still struggling in the trenches, right? So,
Yes, LaDonna. Yes. And I like that you brought that to the forefront that your daughter works in in your business with you. And
mhm,
it can be challenging for those familial dynamics, as you're saying. You can fall, the pendulum can swing one way, as you were saying. You're either very hard on them or you're too lenient on them, right? And
mhm,
so
mhm,
I appreciate how you have gained and garnered a deeper understanding that that's not necessarily fair that I hold her to this higher standard. And you do have to manage appearances, right? Because people will think, oh,
mhm,
that's her daughter. She lets her do anything. So you
mhm,
swung the other way, but then also saying, okay, how do I navigate this relationship? Because I'm really one, not trying to destroy my
mhm,
relationship with my daughter outside of the business. I love my daughter
mhm,
and I want to continue to grow as a mother and daughter and not destroy that. But then also, how do I find that point that I'm also treating her the same, right, as everyone else,
mhm,
and holding everybody to the same standard, not almost penalizing her for being my daughter and holding her to a
mhm.
higher standard. And then her feedback to you is, wow, you're more patient. You're more patient. I have a question
Yeah.
for you. I know another individual who works with their son in her business.
Mhm.
Does your daughter call you like when you're on calls? Does she call you LaDonna, or how does that
She
dynamic
calls
work?
me LaDonna. She calls
Mm-hmm.
me, yeah, she doesn't call me
Mm-hmm.
mom during those conversations for sure.
That's right. That's right. I love that. I love that. And so, has it changed, LaDonna? Has it changed even? So now your daughter says, wow, you're more patient. Has it even changed your personal dynamic with the two of you as well?
It has. It's
Mhm.
definitely helped to become more
Mm.
patient, right? Because she's been with me, I think she jumped in, I want to say she's probably been with me almost as long as the business has been around, right?
Okay. 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 I love
So I think she's hitting her fifth year with
it.
us,
Okay.
right?
It's wonderful. That's
I
wonderful.
mean, in the beginning, I used to say, "Hey, I'm going to hire you, right, to be my
Mhm.
office manager, but um, this is not a hobby, just so you know."
Right. We do want to disclose that. Yes. Yes.
This is a
And
real business. This is not a hobby. This is
no,
not just
ma'am.
something
No,
I'm doing
ma'am.
on the side. This is really a business. So,
Right. Well, I think this conversation is crucial even in whether you're a business owner or you're a business leader, and you bring
mhm,
one of your children or family members in to work for you or work for the organization. Maybe not may not directly report to you. What insight would you give to people who, they may have a very qualified family member, but they're concerned about what it would look like on the outside if they brought this person in? What insight could you give to someone as they may be contemplating working with a family member?
it's a difficult dance, I would say that.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not for everybody because sometimes, being able to hold people accountable is really important in your business, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And sometimes bringing a family member comes in with a sense of entitlement, right?
Mm.
And so it really depends on the dynamics and the personality of that person coming in. So whether they're qualified or not, right?
Yes.
Um, do they have, are they able to work within the boundaries of your business, right?
Yes.
And be held accountable. So
Yes. Yes.
it's it's not easy, and oftentimes you have to make decisions to move people in and out of your business. And we've done a lot of that, I think, just over the years with your average, just bringing people in, you know, just having employees in the first place. It's difficult to hire people. You don't know them. You don't know if they're going to
Yes.
you know, follow the lead and keep your clients happy, right?
Right.
So we stick to we stick to our core values, and we really do, you know. um, make sure that our clients get the service that they need, right?
Yes.
So you
Yes.
can get fired at my company for not servicing the clients the proper way, right?
Right. Right.
Um,
Business. Yes.
right? Because we all suffer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And there's enough competition out there because if we don't do it, somebody else will try, right?
Yes.
Or will say they can, and so you're, just being in business is just a delicate dance overall, right?
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
because you can't be naive and think, "Huh, I'm the only one who can to do this the way that I do this." Well, sure, right?
There's
But
choices.
there
That's
there
right.
are other dynamic people out there who can handle this type of business and who can do the things that you're doing, right?
Yes, LaDonna. Yes, indeed. And so what I'm hearing, so I really want to bring this, I really want people to hear this. If you are considering a family member, or for that fact, anybody, make sure that their
Mhm,
merit meets the mark, right? That they can actually do the job, that
mhm,
they can be held accountable, right? If you have a dynamic with a family member that you're not going to be able to hold them accountable in making sure the job is done properly, then that's probably your sign not to bring them in, because as you said, LaDonna, everyone suffers. The department suffers if you're in an organization, the company suffers, because if a client is not happy and there's continuous missing of end goals and responsibilities, that's a big problem. And so if
mhm,
you cannot hold someone accountable and they can't take accountability, then that is not going to fly, because clients have choices, right?
mhm,
They have choices. There's choices everywhere. We go to the supermarket, we see all kinds of choices for bread. We see all kinds of choices for orange juice and for toilet paper and paper towels and napkins. There's choices,
mhm.
right,
That's
LaDonna?
true,
Yeah.
right? And that's why I kind of live by you know, the rule of transparency and
Mm,
honesty with the clients, right? Um, because we want them to get up and choose us every day, right?
yes, LaDonna. Yes. And
And
as you
so,
move through transparency, because I believe in that, I believe transparency builds trust, right? It builds rapport, it
mhm,
builds deeper
mhm,
relationships with clients and with staff members, all of that, and with partners. Even, we have, if we have, people that we purchase products from, or right,
mhm,
that transparency saying, hey, this is back ordered, not telling me, oh, it's going to be coming your way, but it's back ordered and you're not going to receive it, right? It's as small as that level of transparency that you're
yeah, it
talking
is.
about, right?
Mhm,
And so
mhm,
I'm sure, because listen, we're in business. Anyone in business, anyone leading a business, anyone in leadership, there's going to be snafus. And we
mhm,
have to be
absolutely.
transparent in those snafus, right? How have you found that when you've had an ill experience or something that has not gone the way you wanted it to, that that level of real talk, as I call it, right? That transparent talk
Mhm, mhm.
has actually elevated the relationships with some of your clients.
I think it's elevated the relationships with all of our clients because we always
Mm,
have, a moment where there could be a potential snafu, even if it's not even our fault, right?
right, right.
Um, and so during those, when that happens, right, the first thing we do is we own, right? And we report, right? So we say, oh,
Mm,
this happened, right?
mm,
Here's the impact, right? Here's how we're going to correct it, right?
yes.
Um, down to the point of with some of my clients of, and here is a discount for, you know what I mean? All
Yes,
of the work
LaDonna.
that it's going to take to bring, to right size whatever it is, right?
Yes, yes.
Um, and
I
so,
love
I
it.
mean, even to that level. And so, most of our clients we've had along with us for quite a while. So,
Yes, you
we have
have.
long-term clients that we've had for a long time, and
Yes.
and we manage those relationships daily.
Yes. And you're saying something very important. I want for everyone to hear. The first thing she said was ownership. What a concept. Wow. But today we don't hear a lot of ownership. We hear a lot, there's a lot of this, right? There's a
Hmm.
lot of finger pointing everywhere. Like, and you said, LaDonna, sometimes it's not even something you can manage, right? We can't manage everything. It's not always within our control. But
Hmm.
how do we, as the partner you've chosen,
Hmm.
support you in saying, okay, this is the solution, this is the resolution, this is what we can make happen. And then even if
Right.
there is a challenge that may have been a little snafu, how do I say, you know what? Let me discount you for that. And we've got you there. And people appreciate that. I'm sure that creates quite a bit of loyalty from your client base.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, and even for your employees, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. As you're saying, it's tied to your values, it's tied to your business values, your morals, your personal values, right?
Hmm.
I heard you talk
Hmm.
integrity. I'm hearing, so integrity is number one for me. So I'm using my word, but I heard you honesty, right?
Right.
Doing the right thing when no one's looking. All those things are so important. And so I
Hmm.
love to hear that that is built into the fabric of your business and those you serve.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and those you bring on to help serve them, because I would suspect, LaDonna, if somebody is a mismatch and they don't believe in honesty and they don't believe in integrity, especially with the work you do, because you're dealing with people's money, right? People like to get their paychecks. And
Absolutely.
right, and they like them on time, and they like all the deductions to be right.
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and you also deal with things with the IRS for your clients, all of those things. You deal with the HR component of things for your clients. All of those
Hmm.
things are very high level, right? And they have a big impact. And so
Right.
it's really important that you do operate in that lane of integrous operations, as well as your employees that are supporting these individuals as well. So,
Right.
right? And you deal with, like we said, HR, that's human resources. And so
Hmm.
you want to make sure those resources are really right fit for each of those individuals that you're servicing as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the work you do is absolutely. I've seen how the work you do, it actually impacts, and it allows for the leader and leaders at those organizations to breathe. I've witnessed it. I've
Oh,
witnessed you
definitely.
come in and create a right, because sometimes the wrong wasn't even yours. You may come in from a previous relationship they had, and you will right that wrong, and you will still say, and this is how we can support you, and we can still
Hmm.
give you a discount on some of this, because this is going to be a long runway for us to right that
Hmm.
wrong. And they appreciate that transparency that you give
Hmm.
them. You
Hmm.
don't bait and switch them. You don't come in, this is a big crazy time back here, and you don't bait and switch them and then just say, oh, but now here's the invoice, it's $5,000 more than what we said.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's owning the problem and the solution, right? And so it's another one of my core values, ownership, right? So you
Yes.
must own it, the process, the problem, the solution, all of it. And
Yes.
sometimes you have to sit back and map it out and go, okay, well, let me figure it out, right? Because you
Right.
can be throwing complex problems all day long.
Right.
Um, but really taking that ownership, right,
Yeah.
is really important.
Yes. So as we're wrapping, I want to thank you all for joining us. If you're live, or even if you're on the recording watching this, thank you for joining us. And LaDonna, as we're starting to close, and I love this conversation around trust, transparency, ownership, accountability, all those things go hand in hand. If
Hmm.
somebody is in a leadership position and they are looking at, they're contemplating, do I keep this person? Do I bring on this person? What are the top, I will ask you for the top one or two things that
Hmm.
you would tell someone to ask themselves before they either hire this person into their company, or before they fire somebody that needs to leave the company, what are things you would say ask about themselves about that individual?
I think, and I did some work with SCORE at one point, and the
Mm-hmm.
SCORE representative forced me to put down core values, and he was like, if you put down these core values, right, line them up with every situation, right?
Mm,
So that's bringing people on. Do they have these core values that we need, right? Can they meet that? And then when you're letting people go, right? And you're dealing with a problem, you're like, huh, does that even align? And if the
mm.
answer is no, then the decision needs to be made to let that person go.
Wow.
It's a difficult thing to do, but
It
yeah.
is. It is, right?
Mhm.
And so I thank you for that. And so if you are someone who's listening and you're looking for support in the HR realm, the payroll realm, I want to encourage you. You hear LaDonna's core values. You feel it. You feel the integrity in her. You feel the honesty. You feel that this woman is going to be very transparent with me and what we're facing. If you've been looking for somebody who operates from that standpoint, I'm going to encourage you to definitely reach out to LaDonna or PeepTek. That you can find them easily. Will have their information for you as well. But this is what I believe is required. We required to operate from a space of integrity, from a space of partners that we can trust, that we can definitely connect with. And when I tell you, LaDonna's staff, they support some heavy hitters. So don't think that, oh, she's just this little podunk. Oh, no, 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 no. They can support you. Trust me. Trust me when I say that. And you can have a deeper conversation. She can share more with you. But her organization, I enjoy the people that she brings on. I enjoy those that she works with. I enjoy how she moves in business. So definitely I encourage you to reach out if you're navigating any kind of HR or payroll. But I love what we're talking about transparency. She'll let you know if they're not a fit for you, and she'll give you some other options as well. So, anything you want to leave our listeners with, LaDonna, before we go?
In the world of transparency, I would encourage anyone who is working with your collaborators, right,
Mm-hmm.
to create a safe space and listen without judgment, right, so that you can bring it both ways, right, because
Mm-hmm.
it comes full circle for sure.
That's wonderful. So with that, we're going to say thank you, LaDonna. We're going to continue like to celebrate just our Women's History Month. So exciting, just all the
Thank you for
things.
having me.
Right, all the things that women are
Hmm.
doing and expanding into. Men, we love you too, but this is our month. And so just reach out to LaDonna. LaDonna, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your wisdom. And thank you for really serving and really being transparent in your own growth and sharing that, right? Even about your daughter working with you, because I think sometimes people need to hear those things. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you all
much.
for joining us. Yes.
All
Thank you.
right. Okay.
Until next
Bye
time.
bye.
Bye bye. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Do you have some thoughts, comments, questions as well? Drop them below. I'd love to hear them and actually respond to you as well. Don't forget to hit that little bell that you see because it'll notify you next time any new opportunities are posted to this channel. So, thank you again. And until next time, remember, continue to build trust to transform, whether it's transforming your community, your home, your business, your workplace, your voice is required. Looking forward to seeing you then. Bye.